Welcome back to your live continuing coverage of NAB 2017, live from Las Vegas, Nevada at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Thanks so much for joining us. We are here in the Vitech Video Group booth on the Teradek set, and this is the wrap-up show, the final wrap-up show of this year, 2017, and I'm so excited because I have some great guests on the couch to spend about a half an hour talking about trends, talking about innovation, talking about what they like most, and we're going to get to know each other a little bit. Some great people that I already know, you know a little bit, and we'll get to know more. So Michael Gowling is a good friend, and about 8 years ago, this whole live show was his vision as the marketing guy for Teradek, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the last 30 minutes here this year, and because I've made some really interesting observations I want to talk about live streaming through NAB this year. We've got Sarah from the Immersive Shooter, and I'm really excited. You guys spent a lot of time with Sarah this year as she hosted some great coverage here on the live show. And of course we've got Martin the Martian. Martin is from vMix. He is the founder and creator of vMix, which is probably the most robust live switching software out there. You can even use it to non-live switch. You can just switch and record. We're using it here to do the show, and it is unbelievable. You add more features every year. It runs off a PC. It's very reasonable, and you can also buy it as a complete turnkey system. So the company is vMix, and Martin's an awesome guy. So welcome everybody to the program.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Happy to be back.
Yeah, good to be back.
It's
good that the show is almost over.
Yes, it is. It's nice. It's a bittersweet thing, right? It's a long week for all of us. We love talking to the audience and bringing them new, innovative things, finding those small companies that don't necessarily get the normal media attention that the bigger companies get, and kind of interweaving them. But it also is nice that at the end of the week we get to say goodbye, and you know, it's a long week for us, so we get to say goodbye and we'll see you next time. So it is a bittersweet thing. We get to say goodbye to old friends and goodbye to the new ones we've made. So there is that bittersweet moment. Michael, I guess I could start with this. I think live streaming is probably the biggest trend here. It's been growing over the years. Everybody wants to live stream, whether it's VR or standard, HD or 4K footage. Everybody wants to live stream, and there are a million companies that allow you to live stream now. Not quite a million, but a lot. But what I thought was so interesting is when we started doing this, it was your vision. I was here doing this with you from the very beginning. When we started doing this, there were nobody here doing what we were doing, a multi-camera live stream from the floor of NAB. It didn't happen at other conventions either. And since then, we caught a lot of attention. We showed the industry this was possible, and it now shows up everywhere, to the point that not only does NAB have a real, serious multi-camera live show of their own, but that lots of vendors do, including a company I never thought I'd see doing live streaming just a few booths away, Canon. And that blows my mind, even though I know where the industry is going. I know that Facebook Live is here and maybe the most powerful platform, that live stream allows you to stream live and is a great platform, that Bright Cove and Ooyala do it, that YouTube does it. But I got to give you a lot of credit for seeing that, showing the industry that this was possible to do it mobily from anywhere. Teradek and you the credit, and then really we show the world comes here and goes, we could do this too, and starts doing it at other conventions, and then boom, Canon is doing it.
Well, I think that we definitely didn't have that foresight when we started. It was kind of a selfish idea in that we just needed to think of a way to, how are we going to show our products off in a real world environment, right?
And catch some attention, right?
And catch some attention, right. That was exactly it. So the first time we did it, we had partnered with our buddies Livestream.com, and Livestream and you and us, we shared a booth, and it was a really tiny booth, tiny little stage. Remember when Corey wore his
the helmet,
the NFL helmet with the big old mic? Yeah,
I do remember that.
But a lot of it, and we had little seats in the front. And,
yep.
A lot of it was really just a trade show display. It wasn't really taken, the content was taken seriously, but it wasn't meant to be a community service at that time. Sure. And then over the years, we got so much feedback from people coming on, and they got really excited to come on, and they wanted to talk more about education and less about product. And that's kind of, over the last, now I think it's 7 years, we've moved from just, so tell me about your product, what's new at NAB, to, well, let's talk about, let's get someone from, 4 different camera manufacturers and have a real debate about HDR and where we're going and does resolution really matter, and let's have something that's hard hitting and lasting, and give our viewers something that they can take home and think about rather than just what's new at NAB.
I think we started also talking about the industry, the trends, and how to teach people how to do things, but also we talked to people who I would say are influencers about how they accomplish what they accomplished, so people could learn how they came up and maybe how you could come up. I think of an interview I did with Vincent LaFerre on this set maybe 2 years ago now, and Vincent seemed like this guy who was just tearing it up and doing this really high-end work, but where did he come from? And I think we learned so much in that interview that the people who wanted to be the next Vincent LaFerre got to learn the steps it would take to do that. We talked about how you have to make sure that your storage is important and secure your footage. We talked about how to color correct and do all these things, how important audio is, and I think that's when we really started to become a community service, as you said, because we were giving back and helping the industry grow.
Right, and I think we're also moving away from focusing on influencers and bringing in people that are upcoming and finding what's new in these niches that are starting to blow up, and immersive shooter is a really great example of that, and that's one reason why we have Sarah on doing a whole segment every day.
What'd you think of being part of this?
I thought it was really cool. I was very intimidated at first, but it's sort of, you fall into it, it gets a little bit more normal, and honestly, we really did focus a lot on gear because it's such an important part of where the industry is for us right now, because unless you're really high end and you're getting custom solutions, people are sort of like carrying duct tape in their bag and sort of coming up with their own solutions for independent filmmakers and for the prosumer market. And there's just so much here that I wanted to show off, because I was like, I know 7 people I'm going to personally email after the show and connect you with because they need this.
So you've got 360 Rise, formerly 360 Heroes, making GoPro and Yi rigs now. You've got Insta360 making cameras that can go on your iPhone and Android, the Nano and the Air. You've got the Insta360 Pro. You've got Zcam with the S1, the V1 Pro, which is a 3D 360 camera, and also the S1 Pro. And Insta360 is also a 3D 360 camera, and all these cameras are much more affordable than what was out just a year ago, and a lot less cumbersome stitching in some of these cameras, live streaming on many of them. What was the biggest trend you saw in 360 VR?
The biggest trend as far as cameras go, since that's sort of what we're talking about, I'd say all of the high-end ones, the cloud stitching that's becoming so much more easily available for the high-end, and then on the low-end, the auto stitching. And there's no clear winner in cameras right now. It seemed like there were going to be, and now it's opening up again. I think that there were some opportunities missed by some manufacturers.
Absolutely.
And now the market's wide open again, and I think it's going to make it really easy for people to start playing with it. And there are a lot of new accessories. There's I can't remember the manufacturer, but camera lenses so that DSLR users can start playing with not 360 but like 250 degrees.
Sure. Just
like baby steps into it, and sort of that cross between the two. So we had Thomas Wallner from Liquid Cinema on, and they have this really cool feature where you can go from fixed frame into a 360 space. So you can tell a story, have your close-ups, do things the way that you know how to do them, and then put someone in a 360 space when it's appropriate. And so I think that there's a lot of crossover between, and the camera market's just opening up so everyone can
It is
play.
like the Wild West, and just last year everybody was very excited about Backbone, which was allowing you to put lenses on GoPros. You had to take the GoPro apart. I walked by their booth, nobody wants to pay attention to them anymore almost. It's really interesting how it changes so quickly, because it's about the all-in-one camera, I think, or taking that GoPro rig and putting it together still, but not about doing that. I thought it was so interesting that Zcam's lenses, you could change the aperture on their really pro cameras and have a lot more control, and it seems that's where we're going too. And then I thought that a lot of these companies are finally starting to listen and put audio import, so you can take an external microphone or an audio mixer and plug in an audio source, which is what we have desperately needed. And have you seen Scratch VR? Scratch VR is a software platform where you can stitch live and send it to the cloud. You can also add graphics and color correct, and you can do it in post, or you can do it live.
Yeah, I saw them at the Zcam booth. They're actually doing a bundle with Zcam. It's like less than $5,000 for like
The whole thing.
the whole thing. Yeah.
And you can even use the wheels. Martin, what's going on with switchers and live streaming traditionally? And I guess I should start by asking the question I'm dying to ask: will we ever see a 360 switcher? And is it needed? Because I think I would rather have 4 different feeds I can pick from and pick the perspective that I want to watch from than let somebody switch my 360 while I'm in a headset. Would be, in my mind, jarring. So that's my question.
I think that's what I think people are working out now. You know, they're focusing on the technology to do a single 360 camera and do that well. And I think once we've worked out what the audience wants to look at, it's probably what you're saying, you know, give them the options, give them the angles to view, because it's a fully immersive experience where you can turn and see what you want to see. Well, why not be able to change locations? It's sort of like a Star Trek teleporter moving between the locations of, say, when you're watching a concert. I think, you know, if you want to see from backstage, you want to walk around the stage and see what's happening there, or you want to be part of the mosh pit, for example. So I see that's happening, and I'm sure there'll be 360 switches in time as well once they work out, well, what do they want to actually do on that side of things. But, you know, talking about this being the wrap-up show and being the last year, it's just sort of amazing to see how far everything's come. You know, we were a tiny little 10 by 10 booth at the very back of the South Lower Hall in 2013, and we got picked out of obscurity into the streaming media awards that year. And that's how I found Teradek and met you guys for the first time. It was totally by chance.
I think I predicted you'd be very successful when you were on the couch the very first time. You blew my mind, and I think it's come true, has it not?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, I haven't done anything particular. I think we've just reached the point where everybody knows our name now, and it's word of mouth. People are telling other people who are telling other people about vMix, and so it's selling itself. I'm just able to sit back there and work on the code and add these new features.
Would NDI be the biggest innovation in live streaming switching this year?
It's going to be the future of it. IP, of course, is going to be the future of switching. Eventually, everybody's going to be using IP in one way or form for all sources. So I think NDI is the most practical, usable technology in the IP space that you can use right now.
And you'll be able to pull in cameras from all over the world.
I guess that's the expansion of it. Because of the openness of the NDI protocol, there's third-party companies like Sienna in the UK that are able to convert NDI into something you can transport over the cloud and take to another studio on the other side of the world.
Wow, it's pretty amazing, and it's pretty spectacular, and I've seen it in action in a lot of different places. And you know, there's an NDI consortium here, and you can have 200. They had 200 feeds coming in, and yet the 2 or 3 or 4 feeds that you would pick in this building would come in uncongested, perfect, look perfect, even with all that congestion, which is spectacular and very exciting. And I think it's really great to see where the industry is growing and going. And I think that, you know, you're a perfect example of finding a small company here at NAB, bringing them on set, giving them a little exposure, and helping them get going, which is something that I think we're all very proud of. Anybody who's ever worked on this show. You mentioned that it's the last year, and I talked to Michael about this before. We weren't going to tell anybody, but and I don't know that it's the last year, but I think that the format might change, right? Because it's time to do something different. There's everybody out there doing live streams. So maybe it'll be the last year, and we'll have a little tearful goodbye, and maybe it won't be, but certainly I know that what Teradek has done isn't going away, and certainly there's a legacy and a long-lasting legacy here. I think that, without a doubt, it's been an honor and a privilege to do this for the last number of years, from the very beginning. It's been an honor and a privilege to come into your mobile devices, your homes, and I think it probably started with desktops and homes, and now it's mobile devices.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've said in private a couple times, well, this year's the last year. This year's the last year. This time I think I can confidently say that this year will 99% sure be the last year that this format exists.
Right.
And the reason is, when we first started, and you had mentioned this earlier, there was one show going on. I think NAB had an official show, but it wasn't full time. It was kind of an off and on, more of a technology showcase. And now we counted, 11 or 12 this year?
Yeah.
And there's just so much content. And like you were saying with mobile, every other person walking down the aisle's got a 360 cam or a DSLR,
Or they're streaming live to Facebook.
or they're streaming live to Facebook on their phone. There's so much content. It's a preponderance of content, and frankly speaking, it's a little hard to wade through all of this information, and you have so many choices. Where do you go? I think a lot of people come here because we've tried to change the content to add some real value. But I think, just like we do in technology, we're always trying to stay on the cutting edge. And this format was cutting edge, way back 6, 7, 8 years ago. And now it's come to a point where it's time to completely rethink, the live show at NAB. What else can we do? How can we make it more interactive? One thing I'd really love to do is tie our viewership right into the content we produce here. We haven't really taken questions in real time on this show for a couple of different reasons. A lot of it comes down to just personnel bandwidth. But I think that we can play with a number of different ideas. We have about a year to do it. We have the same amount of big space to make use of it. So, if you have any ideas, do let me know.
I do. We've started to talk about some, and I'm sure I'll come up with more. I'd love to be part of it. Like I said, it's been an honor and a privilege to do this. And we really started something spectacular that I'm glad to see will carry on. I will say this, my company, Be Terrific, I don't think would be here today if it wasn't for this. It certainly wouldn't be in the same shape or form. I was looking for something to do coming off a startup, and we had done some live streaming in the early days of it, but we mostly recorded our stuff, and doing this showed me that there was a path to doing this, and that this was actually a great idea, and that I should focus on live, and I love live, and so that's what Be Terrific has been about, is putting positive live original programming and storytelling out there. And so thank you for that. Thank Teradek for that, and for everything else that has happened in the industry since doing this. And you turned something that could have been a really sad thing into a really positive. Like, now I can't wait for next year.
No, I'm excited about what's next. It's going to be great, and I think actually would be a great time to if we can, bring some of the operators.
Here's what we're going to do. I got this planned out. You
Okay.
ready? I want to go to a wide shot. I'm going to direct now.
All right.
Peter, I'd like you to go to a wide shot, and then I'd like everybody who's in the back, every single person, to come up here. And I'd like to call you guys out. Many of them have been with us almost the whole time, and they've certainly done a great job every day, every year. They make us look terrific. They make the guests look terrific, and they help us bring wonderful content to you, the viewers, who watch this wonderful show. We have occasionally, by the way, brought in questions from viewers in different ways. It is a little clunky, and I think that that's something that the industry as a whole needs to figure out. I hope that we will. I also think that you guys have done a marvelous job throughout the years. Michael, this is your vision from the very beginning, and it's an honor to be a friend of yours. And you've done an excellent job this year, and it's been wonderful to watch you grow through the week. And Martin, I mean, without your wonderful switching software, we wouldn't be able to do all the things we do. So just sitting down, we've got Peter over there. Kim is joining us. We've got Sean. Jeff is the newest addition, I believe, and then Jeff is right there. And then Andy. Andy's been here for a number of years, taking all the photos and everything.
You can lay on the ground in front of us.
Yeah, you can be the guy
Or
who lays on the
across our
ground,
lap.
and hopefully somebody will take a picture of this as well. Guys, what's it been like to work behind the scenes? I mean, it's a very popular show. People know it. They talk about it. I go to movie sets and they go, "Hey, Mr. Teradek." So what's it been like for you guys to work behind the scenes on a show that people talk about because they're so excited about the information they get from us?
It has been an absolute blast to see the whole thing evolve and change, and to watch everybody grow, and all the new toys and technology, and the industry as a whole just completely move from one idea to another. To see 3D come in, well, maybe. To see VR come in, and now starting to combine everything together, and all the different ways of viewing and producing. It's been a blast, and I love, Michael, whenever you throw these wrenches into my production, and I get to move these, PTZs around and follow what you're doing. It's been an honor and a privilege. It's been so much fun.
Cool.
It's been amazing to have you guys here, and you guys do such a spectacular job. You keep us on time, you keep us going, you give us encouragement, you give us great advice, and I can't thank you guys enough. Every single one of you has really made this broadcast special, and there are some people who aren't here this year that I want to thank real quick. Dan Chung from News Shooter, and it's been wonderful to work alongside him. We've had some amazing people over the years come on this set, some really talented people who are tops in the field. Eric Fletcher comes to mind from the Society of Camera Operators, helped push us forward, make great introductions, and gave great interviews. Of course, I'd be remiss without mentioning Joe from Blaze Streaming Media, who's become a great friend, and you guys work directly with him, and you guys do the behind the scenes, and I'm so thankful
and
for
he
that.
would never come up here, even if we were trying to do this. He would refuse to come up.
He never would.
In fact,
That's
did he
very
just
true.
text you?
No, he didn't, but I'm sure he will.
Probably watching.
I almost said something, about Joe earlier in the day, and I didn't, and I told these guys I knew he'd be mad. So, yeah, Joe's a great guy, and he's a wonderful person, a wonderful friend, and I'm sure for you guys, a wonderful boss. And then, of course, Nickel. Nickel is the guy who started Teradek.
Right.
So without him, none of this would happen, and then gave Mike the keys to the kingdom and said, all right, kid, run with it. And that's a good idea. And then came back a year or two later and said, let's make it the Apple Store in Times Square or in Fifth Avenue, and gave us this wonderful glass structure. So I know you guys got to get back in the back to take us off, but just sit here for 1 second and look into the camera so everybody can see your faces and they can appreciate what you've done. Thank you so much.
And realize, I think this is a record for the amount of people. We always laughed at Dan, and then Sarah, who was trying to break that record.
Holding the torch.
But I think we just won.
Yes.
I don't think we're gonna.
Segment. It's got to be.
It's got to be
There
the
has
biggest
to be
one.
one next year so I can win. I have to have a chance to win.
So, I mean, and real quick, I do want to call out Sean and Andy, both equally important to putting on this production. Andy's been here since pretty much the beginning, since year five, I think. Yeah, so I mean, just as much important, as I am and Joe and Joe's team and everyone.
And by the way, all the people who helped this show throughout the years that aren't here, that maybe came for a year and then didn't come back, or came for 2 years and aren't here today. We've had a wonderful crew always, a wonderful staff. We have wonderful people. We've had wonderful guests. Every single guest has been good, and we've had a lot of fun up here. I know on my team, Peter Poon was here many years and did a great job. We had a lot of great people. Adam Holtz was here and did a great job. Right. We had Darryl Reed on set, former Super Bowl champion. Who would ever thought we would add a Super Bowl champion on set?
Sinbad,
you remember that? Sinbad.
Sinbad was on. Yeah,
Sinbad. He was talking about taking. It was the beginning of the drones, and he said, "I'm going to fly that over Yankee Stadium, and when they go to catch me, I'm going to put the remote in the backpack and walk away."
Oh, Sinbad.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun over the years, and I think the most important thing is we got a lot of great information to our viewers, and it's all thanks to Teradek and the Vitek Video Group for seeing this vision through, and to you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
all right. So I'll let you get back to your positions to actually take us out, and we'll wipe the tears from our eyes, and we'll start thinking already about next year and how we can keep it going but change the format. I like that, Michael. I'm very excited, and I look forward to working with you, Sarah, and Martin, always working with you. You're a great guy with a great vision. Both of you gentlemen are great guys with great visions. He might be the smartest man in the room with that software.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Just remember, when you get the yacht, I get a ride. All right? And I don't even like boats. I want to thank, most importantly, you, the viewers, who gave us your time, who gave us an opportunity to teach you something, to show you something, and to bring you the new tech. It's unbelievable what we've done the last few years, and it's unbelievable you've stayed with us and watched through thick and thin, through every moment. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Michael Artsis. Be terrific.